React episode! Shed 17, Thomas the Tank Engine scary reaction, my dedicated bros. Special like button, 1,500 likes. Without any further delay, please just jump straight into this because there are 36 minutes waiting for us. Not waste any longer on this intro. Here we go. Why is it loading like that? Looks like... Oh, this is his intro. Paulsvids. I thought he was trolling me just like I was trolling doing April Fools, you know? The Mario Music Box, loading screens. Only true Luigikid OGs will know the reference. Sorter Island. Boy. I have no idea what this animation is about, but you, my dedicated bros on Discord, suggested me to watch this. Apparently, it's one of the scariest videos on YouTube and a very scary Thomas the Tank Engine animation. Well, oh. Present day? Well, sadly the windmill now is destroyed. What has happened here after all these years? Looked like a peaceful place. Oh, I just noticed that the Thomas the Tank Engine team is playing in the background, but pretty creepy. Who's actually taking the time to add all these things? Well done, I've gotta say here. I mean, the concept of Thomas the Tank Engine, always so creepy. Like, there are tank engines with a face on them. Isn't that horror enough for dedicated bros? Yeah, old rusty tank engine. It's probably not Thomas, am I right?
They were the stories that have charmed an entire generation. From the books to the television series, people around the world have grown up with the railway stories, and all their cheerful characters.
Things gonna get even more spicy, guys. Storytelling, finest storytelling here.
Truth would be horrifying.
Oh, is that the reason why it's called Shed 17? So Paulsvids actually own Thomas the Tank Engine animation there. Big oof.
It is 1945, and the remote island of
World War II?
off the northwest coast of England has
Didn't
emerged
expect
from
this
the
to
fog
happen.
of World War II, relatively unscathed and untouched.
The island served as a detention camp for Germans living in England.
What? Why does this remind me of a Netflix documentation?
What? III in Munich, Germany. A doctor in biology, he became a prominent advisor to the ruling party.
What the heck? We even see the Nazis there? What the frick? Please, YouTube, don't let this be demonetized just because it's out of age on the screen. Please don't.
Escalated. He, his wife Olga, and 4-year-old son Hans fled the country.
The heck? The World at War 1973? It's like a movie.
einen solchen Befehl bekommen. Habt einmal gefragt, nicht wahr? Am 14. Mai
Those German dialogues.
war der Großadmiral Räder und ich bei ihm.
That's what he wanted.
Oh no, you know, it's even funnier because my native language is German and he said totally different things in the subtitles than he actually said.
To believe. The fact is, his experiments were hard to stomach even for his own people.
In truth, he had become a prominent figure in the government, but as his work progressed, questions and objections had been
This
raised
is
in the higher
so
echelons
odd,
of the
my
Reich.
dedicated
His work
bros.
with genetics and DNA was truly pioneering. The cracking and manipulating of the human genome. What Professor Goetze was most successful in, however, was keeping his history a secret.
I mean, yeah,
until
on
his
one,
death.
In an attempt to gain favor
it is a
among
bit
the German
cringy, yeah?
hierarchy, Wilhelm Goetze
But the
was at
effort,
forefront of
the work they have
government's
put
most
into this
fanatical policies.
is actually
In
quite nice,
1938,
not
he was
bad.
influential in instigating
Coming up
the
with an
infamous
own story
Saint
around
Germain
Thomas the
Act,
Tank Engine
the Night of
universe.
Sawdust. But as his experiments advanced, he became a much less popular figure and soon feared for his and his family's lives.
As soon as he escaped to England, he was banged up here. But locals were nice to him. There was no hostility, and many of them chose to live here after the war.
Following their release, Professor Goetze, Olga, and young Hans chose to remain. After studying under
Oh
his
my
father,
gosh, is this one of the
Hans
reaction
left at the age of
videos?
18
I'm
and
just
went to
sitting
university
there
on the
and say
mainland,
nothing
studying biology
because
and
I'm
engineering,
hooked up into
writing
the
several
story.
pioneering
What?
papers about
I need to say
genetics
more stuff,
and
my
splicing
dedicated
of
bros.
DNA with mechanical implants.
He called it biofusion, the technique of manipulating genetic
Oh,
material
wait.
to splice with mechanical attachments.
That's how the
However,
tank
much like
engines
his
were
father,
created?
The British government became more and more concerned with Hans Goetz's proposals.
That's at least my
So
theory
he was
right
forced
there.
to seek financial backing from home.
His dad left Germany with quite a few bob, so Hans came back. He saw our little island as some sort of refuge where he could work in peace. Soon every nutcase and eccentric was coming over.
By
What even is
1962,
this?
Hans had set up Sodor Research, a small lab near the town of Alsborough, but soon the enterprise began supplying medical equipment and machinery,
How
and
is
quickly
someone
grew
coming
to
up with
become a
that?
large complex, comprising its own links to the growing Sodor rail system.
Young Abby Collins from the
Where
town was working
you'll
there,
never watch
when
Thomas the Tank
Professor
Engine the
Hans
same
took a
way
liking
you
to
ever
her.
did before.
Soon they were married, and not long after, the town was buzzing with news of her pregnancy.
Sorry.
Baby Thomas was born in 1968.
Oh my gosh,
For
he
the
looks
early
like
years of his
Thomas!
life, he would watch the growing
He's gonna
railway
turn
network
into the
with
Tank
fascination.
Engine, how?
He couldn't get enough of trains. His dad bought him one of the first video cameras, and he'd be on the platforms every day. You can see me in some of those
Swim of a
tapes.
potato?
Hiya, Mr. Hartley.
Morning, Thomas. But he was friends with everyone, even that simple bloke who could only say where he lived.
Sodor.
But his favourite trains are fully old steam engines.
Steam engines were a dying art on the British mainland, but Hans also had a fondness for them, much like his son, and likes to keep them running for our
Hans is
purposes,
turning Thomas
taking
into a
orders
goddamn
from the
train,
lines
my
to the
dedicated
growing
bros.
docks, or to the mainland to
Can't
be
believe that.
transferred to
Well,
more
we're about to
local
see more in a
express
bit, I
trains.
believe.
But as the Sodor rail system expanded, it found itself increasingly under the supervision of the new British rail network and appointed a new controller.
Big oof there. On the fat controller?
Set up from Hat. Born into money, he took his ridiculous name to heart and started wearing a top hat all the time. Of course, the islanders had a different name for him.
Fat bastard. Cold-hearted as him. He banned all steam engine volunteers.
At
cut
least
most up rail employees.
they have censored the
shut
words,
down
so I
the
don't have to
branch
do
line in the
that.
smaller stations. He was happy to let the railway rust away, just like they
No.
did to the main line.
But the fortunes of the railway were about to take a profitable turn, a stroke of luck for the island that would result from tragedy.
Come on, we're gonna be late. What's the time? Thomas, get moving.
Young Thomas
are they up
loved
to?
the railway. He'd be out all the time, hoping to catch a new train on his camera.
11:45's coming through soon. He won't wait for
I mean,
us.
it is actually quite interesting how
Unfortunately,
fast
he'd
those
taken
trains
enough
are
notice of the
coming
safety
by.
signs.
I'm not
Definitely a
being
good
late
video
again. Have we missed it yet?
if you're interested in
Wait
trains.
for the 11:45. Never mind the 11:45. It must be late again.
So glad that this has
Thomas,
subtitles.
Come on. It's always held up.
Bro. What? Oh! Oh! And that's why you're not crossing railways,
Hans
guys.
was mortified. He disappeared from public view and into the labs.
Oh my.
Locking himself in, he wouldn't allow anyone in there. Eventually his
That's
father
why he
Wilhelm
turns
came
him
to
probably
see
into
him.
a tank engine.
In a few days, a major laboratory had been locked down, followed by an engine maintenance shed, which was to become
this is
off
shed
limits to
17.
all.
All production was shut down, orders weren't met, but the two Professor Goetzes didn't care. More and more equipment was being delivered daily, but no one was allowed in Shed 17.
Questions started being asked in Sodor. Where were the Goetzes? Would there be no funeral for young Thomas? And where was the body?
They'd arranged for Thomas to be transferred to a mainland hospital. He'd been taken to the complex but was never moved by rail. We all assumed the obvious, he was still in the lab.
But if Thomas was there, was he still alive? And what was the purpose of keeping him at the complex?
A train ran
Almost
over
a
him.
year after the accident,
How to survive
the
that?
doors of Sodor Research were reopened. In an open invitation to the people.
Oh
of the
my
island,
gosh, I was
Thomas
actually
rolled out
right.
Shed 17.
What the actual...
It took me a moment to realise what it was I was looking at.
This is a big bruh moment.
Hiya, Mr. Hartley.
It dawned on me what Hans Goetzer and his dad had done. One woman
Yeah,
passed out
I would
as
react the
Thomas
same.
smiled at us. I had to run off around the side of the shed.
Man, this is actually giving me goosebumps.
As news spread across the country, the world's media rushed to Sodor Island.
Still amazed by how well this is made, guys.
I became a bit of a celebrity.
Controversy on Sodor Island.
Nothing of it. Please, someone needs to make a fan game out of this.
It's fair to say I was pretty nervous at times,
Joined now by Keith Hartley.
but I think I put on a brave face.
What did you think when you first came to meet Thomas the Tank Engine?
Oh, he's vomiting again.
Most of my mates said I looked pretty good on telly.
Oh, good for you, bro.
The mayor said I'd represented the people of Sodor very well. It's important to
Old
show
Thomas
you're
is pissed.
confident when people are asking you awkward questions.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Act of mercy.
Voice
Crime
acting,
against
though.
humanity.
All those different
Even when
accents.
some of the questions got difficult, I made sure
I'm sure
I
it's
knew
the same
what I
voice
was
of
talking
actor over and
about.
over again.
Your reaction when
Different
you
pitched
first
voices.
met a talking tank engine.
If you can't make an informed opinion, or if you can't string together two words on telly, well, maybe you shouldn't be on
First
there.
of all, I'm gonna get some vaporwave.
Admittedly,
Flashbacks.
the subject matter was a bit bizarre sometimes.
There are some dark forces at work here.
Okay, now this is getting old.
Alright, as long as you could win over the audience.
They're laughing at you. They're not laughing with you.
Oof. Bruh.
The Goetzer family refused to answer any questions. Behind
That gave
closed
me
doors,
the major
only
cringe, guys.
question they agreed to answer had been asked repeatedly. Would Thomas work on the railway? The response was an emphatic no.
Thomas's DNA had been reprogrammed to accept and adapt to the engine structure, using the engine's internal system to maintain his
Imagine there
organic
actually
functions.
really
What no
some
one could be
sick
sure of
psychopaths
was
out
how
there.
much of the engine
They're doing
was
these kind
mechanical
of
and how much was
experiments,
organic material.
hurting a human's
Thomas had been able
DNA,
to move around without
adding
crutches,
them into a
but to
tank
work on the
engine? What the
railway,
frick?
The engine would need to be fired up
Excuse me,
and
guys.
operated by a driver and fireman.
Since no one could be sure how much of the engine was Thomas, the pressure caused by the engine could rupture his organs from the
yeah.
inside, and the incredible heat could boil
Now I
him
can
alive.
understand why this guy
Professor
was
Hans and his
vomiting all the
father
time.
vowed Thomas would never work on the railways.
Similarly, the two professors were to refuse many requests by people from around the world who wished to be biofused into engines.
There were billionaires offering to pay whatever they
Bruh.
wanted to be converted into an engine or some other transport. Train enthusiasts too, and people with terminal illnesses were desperate to be made into
Well, I
trains.
have my girlfriend right now in the next
But
room.
for
I'm
some
sorry, guys.
reason, the Goetzers refused.
But there would be other interested parties.
Ah, of
eager
course.
To seize on
Totally
the
forgot about you,
biofusion
bruh.
gold mine. The independently wealthy Topham Hatt staged a hostile takeover, and within weeks had bought a controlling share in Sodor Research.
Immediately, the policy of the company changed, and so did the ethics. The medical supply wing was shut down. and
Okay,
work
so
began
far,
on mass
nothing
biofusion
too
experiments
scary.
and operations.
But I've heard this is going to
Anyone who
change.
could afford it, some handing over their whole
Weird.
fortunes, were turned into engines.
So far, this is just really confusing
Along
and
with the new
fucked up, my
policy,
dedicated
there would
bros.
be worse to come. Biofused engines would be allowed, then obliged, to work on the railways.
Whoa!
The first
Okay.
one we fired up was
So that's
James.
why Thomas has now
He
a
didn't
new
have the
job, I
money
believe.
Some of these people had, and so agreed to basically sign his life away if they wanted to experiment further, or to take massive risks like this. As usual, the fat had everything recorded. All kept classified, you understand.
These
there's
recordings,
something off.
shown for the first time, reveal the extent of Sir Topham Hatt's experiments.
It was horrible watching these engines work on the railways some days. But the tourists wanted to see it. They expected it. And for me, it was work.
Work and money.
With the new engine's
See
increasing
all those
work
corrupt
schedule
people.
came more and more accidents.
Insane. And that means with more accidents, there are more human tank engines. Oh, good look at this animation.
He had to pull into Wellsworth Station and whistle to the kids on the platform.
Peep, peep. Whistled Edward. Thank you very much.
What the hell?
Sadly,
And
this
he
was only
died
the
during
first
this.
in an increasing number of incidents.
Oh my!
Had an obsession with
That was
aircraft and appears
gross.
to become a helicopter. The operation had gone well, but we had to ban him from being allowed to attempt flight.
In an experiment kept secret until now, Mavis the diesel engine was to be the first biofused locomotive used on the railway.
We fueled her up and everything seemed fine. Then
I'm sure, yes.
The diesel began to burn her internal organs. Everything organic in the engine was soon burning.
Oh no, the pain! It's burning from inside.
We tried rinsing out the fuel tank with
F in the
water.
chat, my dedicated bros. Big fan F in the chat.
Mavis's body
he
would be kept
burned.
under lock and key indefinitely.
His face
In an
is
unexpected
burned.
U-turn, Sir Topham Hatt would ban fueled engines from being used on the island.
Harold was never told why he couldn't fly, but the decision would keep him alive, if only for a little while longer.
In fact, unknown to the outside world, there had been many failed biofusion experiments.
That fat bastard kept the accidents a secret, and legal disclaimers had to be signed by anyone being
Son of a
biofused.
gun.
So there'd be no legal action taken if anything went wrong.
This footage
Oh.
shows engines being displayed to tourists during the
The
off-season.
theme. I love the
Many
song.
of these engines
Never
were
gets
failed
old.
biofusion experiments and were too ill to work or were already dead.
Oh
They
my.
had to put a stop to that, though.
What the?
With all accidents happening,
Oh
everyone started
my.
asking the same thing. Why had
10 out of 10 editing
this
there.
engine work so well?
Despite all the troubles the
But
other
as long as
engines
Thomas
had,
is alive,
Thomas had worked
we are
fine,
all fine,
seemingly
guys.
oblivious to the other engines' problems and accidents.
Keeping their problems a secret from the outside world, Sodor Research began selling the technology to other countries in multi-million
I'm
pound
not sure if
deals.
that is a good idea.
These countries would have less qualms about the use of fuel engines and even the modern electric trains. Even failed biofused engines were being displayed publicly in what would become a kind of freak show.
Oh my
To
gosh.
his horror, Professor Hans Goetze saw what this was leading to, slavery of engines, and immediately resigned.
This is...
His father,
What
Wilhelm,
the freaking heck am I
went one
actually
step
witnessing? Like all this old German music. So far I don't hear any German lyrics. Just because they are German doesn't mean they have to listen to German music. Damn. He's back in the background. Did you see him? I'm not gonna call his name. Wait a second. Wait a minute. What are you up to, bro? You're not gonna shoot yourself. Is this Hans?
Professor
W
Wilhelm
T
couldn't come to
to the
terms
F.
with what was happening to his engines, and took the only course he thought he could take.
Okay, it's Professor Wilhelm.
That fat got a load of us rail staff over to his house to clean up after the body was taken away. You should have seen it. Sawdust everywhere. It took
the
us days.
Okay, now it makes sense. I was a bit confused. I thought he wanted to censor the blood for some odd reasons.
Public accident.
Sawdust.
Gordon paid an enormous amount to be Sawdor's first 462 configuration engine. Much bigger than any other engine at the time. We were terrified that fat shite would make us fire up that huge engine.
We were shocked to discover he had insisted on being able to work on the railway. So, one night, after the regular staff had finished for the day, Fat some of the rail staff and I
fired up the engine.
I'm not sure if
As
that's a
usual,
good
these
idea at all.
experiments were filmed. This footage has never been broadcast before.
Dr. Ruth and I filmed
I
it
bet
all.
the Tank Enginge is
It
gonna
might be a bit
die.
shaky. It was handheld.
Oh yeah, the
At
shaky
first,
cam,
Tony
the
complained
potato
about the
quality.
heat. Then that turned to please to douse the fire.
But that fat bastard held us back. He wanted to see what would happen.
He argued he had put a lot of work into Gordon, and the chances to get
Son
him
of a
working
gun.
were too great an opportunity.
Ah,
It was
he's
literally
suffering.
from the inside. By the time we were allowed to act, it was too late.
Damn experiments. OMG.
I wasn't as near to him as some of them. All I could do was run.
This
I was
is
lucky
so
to get
well
away with
made,
some
guys.
singed clothes. Others weren't so lucky.
The fateful few hours following the accident would
Now people
seal
would
the
be
fate
like,
of
why
pseudo
do
research.
tanks bleed?
The
Well,
fat stopped
they got
us
organs
trying
as it
to put out
seems.
the fire, insisting that any
They
evidence
are
could
like
fall back on
real
us.
human beings.
He kept repeating, "This was all your fault. You knew the dangers. You're legally to blame." He stopped us calling for ambulances or the fire brigade.
We told him, these are injured people here. They're going to die unless we do something.
They're pretty much
But
dead
he kept
already.
saying, no one from the outside can come in. No one can see this.
Finally, someone suggested we airlift them to hospital. Harold was banned from flying for his own safety, but we thought the risk was worth
Oof.
it.
I'm sure Harold's gonna die
It
next.
was a nervous experience. Would he have the same reaction Mavis had?
We all breathed a sigh of relief and loaded the injured people aboard. Then it all went wrong.
Oh yes, I'm sure about that. Same reaction happening? Oh, he's trying very hard. Oh no! Oh no 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 no!
Harold's engine had worked fine.
Yes, he died.
But what no one realized was most of Harold's lower extremities were permanently fused to his propeller system. As Harold's rotor blades began to spin, vital organs would be drawn into the motor and tear him apart from the
Gosh,
inside.
now that I imagined that.
Well,
Oof!
now there was no covering it up. The smoke could be seen all morning, but news people
So
were
many
in an
failed
instant.
experiments.
We were told to close gates and start clearing up the mess ourselves, with some help.
Henry Thierry was the only 420 gauge engine on the
420
island.
blaze
A
it,
large
guys.
engine that had been working on the
The
railway
420.
regularly. He had become popular among tourists and the locals.
He seems
was
fine and
called
happy.
into the yard to help tidy the mess. Working mostly at night, he would cart away the wreckage under cover of darkness.
We had to work quickly and quietly. Henry would cart wreckage from the yard away to the sea. Then one night, the points were set wrong, and we were diverted to another shed.
Oh no, this is where
Henry
everything
had
else is gonna
been sent to
go
shed
out of
number
hand once again.
17, where Thomas had been biofused into a tank engine and had subsequently been declared out of bounds.
It was dark, and these sheds all looked the same. I unlocked the doors, and Henry rolled in. I didn't see what Henry saw, because as soon as he put his head through doors, he bolted and reversed out.
Oof, what was that?
He locked the shed up without seeing what was inside. But Henry had seen it all.
He had
We
seen
wouldn't
too
even
much.
dare talk about that shed, more than our job's worth.
But Henry had decided to speak up and confront Sir Topham Hatt. That night, he arrived at the railway controller's office.
I don't know what was said in there, but there were raised voices at times. They had a shouting match for 10 minutes. Then Henry left, back to the shed.
By pure chance, he was sent back to the same shed as Thomas that night, and with one sentence, he sealed both their fates.
No.
Henry
Why
only
would
said
you
one
do
thing to him: stay away from shed 17. The next day, the fat had a new job for him.
I'm not sure we
The
can
flying
trust him at all.
boat ran through the night, delivering fish from the docks to the mainland, across the highest altitude line in the country.
That old line was treacherous at best, but Henry was put on there. In the middle of winter, it was a death trap.
Told ya.
In 1970, fish had started being delivered by road to the mainland. It was safer and more cost-effective, and the line was declared redundant. Dangerous and unnecessary, it came as a shock to the islanders when it was reopened.
That fat shite always hated Henry. He didn't like his cheerful manner, and he clearly had other lifestyle choices when he was a human. Fat wanted Henry away from the other engines, and Kipper Run was a death sentence.
On the night of February the 8th, 1983, Henry had only been on the Kipper Run for a week. The following incident would be made into a book and later recreated in the television series.
This
What?
is the train the railwaymen call the Flying Kipper.
Big F for Henry.
Can you believe they put it in a kid's story? Of course, that fat had changed quite a few of their facts.
They couldn't know the points from the main line to a siding were frozen, and the home signal should have been set at danger, but snow had forced it down.
As the train approached the most treacherous part of the line, unnoticed to Henry, his driver and firemen, the points had diverted them to the adjoining siding and right into the path of another train.
Uh-oh. This is how it happened. Not able to stop. Big fat oof. Those cameras were able to record everything.
Henry's driver and fireman had jumped clear before the crash.
He dead, son.
In fact, Al and Barry died from their injuries. Slowly, in snow, the poor bastards.
By midday, the recovery operation was underway, and Sir Topham Hatt had arrived.
Cheer up, Henry, it wasn't your fault. Ice and snow caused the accident.
These images from a train spotter's camera were taken the evening before and were successfully covered up by the Sodor Railway Board for 10
Sabotage?
years.
There was a railway spike in points, blocking them. Of course, that had disappeared by the time we got there.
I'm sending you to Crewe, a fine place for sick engines.
So, Henry,
Crewe.
the Green Engine, is still alive?
They'll give you a new shape and a larger firebox.
Crewe was, at the time, one of only 2 scrap metal yards
up to
in
something
the
bad
UK
again, isn't he?
capable of handling
Some
and
psychopath
recycling
experiments?
organic material as well as engine parts.
You'll feel a different engine and won't need special coal anymore.
With those few words, he'd sentence Henry to death.
Oh my.
Would that be nice? Yes, sir, said Henry doubtfully.
Everyone knew he wouldn't see him again, and everything was sewn up nice and neat for that fat
Oh my gosh. They're killing him.
As news got out about Henry's accident, it didn't take long for Thomas to realise Henry had been disposed of because of what he knew.
He knew too much.
The next evening,
I'm still asking myself what he
Thomas had been
saw.
put on his own for the night at Knapford Station. As his driver and fireman left, under what was left of his own steam, he set off for the Sodor Research Complex.
He had a small amount of burning fuel in his firebox, but he was mostly moving under his own strength. It took Thomas 3 hours to get to the complex, the effort to get there nearly killing him.
Poor bastard.
Thomas arrived at midnight.
But he made it!
Going around, he made his way to the shed where he was created.
10 out of 10 enthusiasm.
What he found was the answers to his questions, and many others.
Since Sodor Research had become producing biofused vehicles, the world had asked, why had the first biofusion operation worked so well, but nearly every operation
found to figure out
since
what's
had
inside.
failed? Sadly, Thomas found the reasons inside.
Oh my gosh, finally we're gonna uncover the truth, guys. It is? What even is that? Looks like a time machine.
Thomas had never been the first operation. He hadn't even been second.
People were doing this the whole time.
What shed number 17 contained was evidence of several attempts to create a tank engine with Thomas's
They killed
DNA.
some human beings.
These had been early tests made by people with no experience of an experiment on this scale. Ill-planned and unprepared, these procedures had used DNA from the human Thomas and had been as much the real Thomas as the
Actually
tank
get
engine the
goosebumps
world had
right
come
now.
to know and love.
This is sick.
To us, Thomas the Tank Engine had been the Thomas we all knew as a boy. part of the family the whole island's population had known and respected.
Oh my
since
goodness.
Wilhelm first arrived.
In actuality, this tank engine was no more the real Thomas than all the failed creations made over the 12 months before.
This Thomas
So
had
many
all the
Thomas
human Thomas's
experiments?
memories and experiences. He had learned what Thomas had learned, known who Thomas had known, but so had all the previous failures.
What is that
Wilhelm and
green
Hans
glowing
Goetze
thing?
had to learn through trial and error how to bring their Thomas back from the dead. The following experiments had not had the same work put into them, resulting in the freak engines and aircraft that had developed so many problems on Sodor Island and around the world. In Shed 17, Thomas wouldn't discover who he was, but in fact, who he wasn't.
Is there still his body remains? What is in there? What is inside of this? Get ready for a jump scare. Oh gosh, I knew it. The heck? Is it an endoskeleton? What the? Tears him apart? And you can see his bone structure? What the? Okay. Those trains have organs and skeletons and they work just like you, and they even have arms? Oh, Thomas. Oh no, it killed him. He died, wasn't able to handle what he just witnessed. Oh my gosh, I'm getting the Slendy Tubby's flashbacks from hearing this scream. Okay, so Thomas is still alive, but he has no face to show anymore.
Many clones. None of us did. But I guess as time passed, we stopped asking all the questions we had at first. We were just glad our friend was back with us. He could work for us. He became our servant in a way. Someone who drew in the crowds, helped create jobs, was eager to work.
Baffled.
Thomas always thought of us as his friends. Sadly, over time we came to think of him as just really useful.
I want to die. Is this the end of Shed 17? Oh, bro. Stop with those tests. He probably is dead. What? Wow. There you go, China.
今日會有一批水果同蔬菜抵達碼頭嘅，我要你將食物送去納卜澤，繼續做你自己日常嘅工作啦。
Bro. Well, damn you. Chinese people were really harsh to them, huh? Okay, looks like this is the end. Oh, there's more.
In the aftermath of the Mr. Ship inquiry, we asked,
We're one of the
how
most
much
React
did
episodes I've
ITV
ever made,
know?
my dedicated bros.
And where next for Robin and Rosie
Oh, fucking Warren.
The fuck?
Of Cockleshell Bay.
What? This is really weird. Okay, as I said, probably the longest React episode I've ever made here on the channel, I guess. Just what the actual F did I witness? Really interesting. Good animating here, good storyline. Kind of hard to understand in the beginning, but damn it, there were so many horrible deaths. Was actually really creepy, really messing around my mind. So that definitely did destroy my childhood, because I grew up with Thomas the Tank Engine, and holy shit, I will never look at this train the same way that I did before. But what do you think about this, my dedicated bros and brodettes? Make sure to smash the like button. I've heard there's a continuation, which we could also check out someday if you want to. Make sure to subscribe to Paul's videos if you haven't already. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, to rate the video or leave comments, feedback, and we'll see each other in the next video. Thanks for watching, my dedicated bros and brodettes. See you, ciao! There's one last scene, as it seems. Special scrap hits incoming. That'll be hilarious. Oh my! There's more. Alright guys, see you, ciao!